Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eric Gradman. My official job title is Mad Inventor. This is Nancy Bennett. She is the GM of VR and Chief Content Officer, and we are here from the circus. We are here from Bit Circus. Bit Circus is a Los Angeles entertainment company. We were founded in 2012, and our mission is creating the future of fun. And in the next 5 to 7 minutes, we are going to race through half a decade of crazy adventures in out-of-home entertainment, because that's what we do. We concentrate on getting people off their couches, out into the real world, and having fun. Nowadays, we can do it with VR. We can put people into headsets and give them amazing experiences unlike any they could have at home.
Hi everybody. So architects of immersion, I think it's a better way to describe what we do because we're a bunch of nerds. And we're also filmmakers, and we like to experiment a lot. And every opportunity we've been given, we have to build tech to suit that opportunity to hit the creative goal. And some of the things we've done have been from big brands, where we've actually been able to build motion platforms in the very early stages of VR, back about 4.5, 5 years ago now. One of them was for IndyCar. It's still on tour. We went out and captured a car at 170 miles per hour with the telemetry of the car, and then built a fiberglass version of that. It's on the road. Another one was the Space VR escape room, which...
Yeah, so let me tell you about this. This is the bridge of a spaceship. This is the bridge of the Space Squad Endeavor. And you're looking at this thing and you're going, oh yeah, that's in VR. No, no, no. This is the bridge of a real starship. Much like an escape room, you and 6 other people will go into this room, we'll lock you in there for a while, and you will experience any one of a number of episodes where you have to use the consoles to navigate asteroid fields, rescue the ambassador who's stuck in space. There's all sorts of different puzzles you have to solve, all done through these interactives that are on the walls and on the tables. Any of you have ever been in a spaceship? You probably know that you occasionally get beamed down to the planet. That's where the VR comes in. Someone puts on the headset, and they're sent down to the surface of the planet. Now they have to collaborate with the rest of their crew to solve puzzles on the surface of the planet. So in this way, we're taking VR experiences and we're blending them with real-world experiences, so you can get the people outside VR and the people inside VR all having a good time.
Exactly. And we've also built crazy motion simulators. This one is a turret that does 6 degrees of freedom. That's actually a recording artist from the Black Eyed Peas taking a little tour of a little B-52 bomber gunner seat. And sometimes the designs are very bespoke, and sometimes they're super modern and what you expect in tech, but they're really fun to do. And they integrate VR so that you can play games interactively using the controls that are built into that motion platform.
I want to point out that Bit Circus is a really remarkable company, because not only are we going out and capturing the experiences with cameras, sometimes camera rigs that Nancy's team has built from scratch, but also building that motion platform from scratch. So motion control systems, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, generating in-game content. Bit Circus is the kind of company where we can do that entire slice, that's not a slice, the entire range of things that need to be done in order to make an end-to-end experience, like that 6 degree of freedom motion platform like you saw.
Indeed. And this is an example of a thing we did for the NFL about 3.5 years ago, capturing the point of view of a punt return as a dream in live action in Cardinal Stadium, which was activated for 30,000 people on 4 motion platforms. And oftentimes we use Unity. In fact, almost all the time. And Unreal 4 every once in a while too. And we integrate spatial audio wherever we can, and we build robots to capture visuals, and we do all sorts of crazy things. But also, we do some comedy. Oops, I went too fast. Go back one. First-person point of view, and a stretcher rolling through comedy sequences, and music with 3D audio. And then we can get into some of the more interesting stuff. Well, NFL, we got to work with the NFL team and Google for a Daydream app that we built for Daydream, and also 9 episodes, 10 minutes apiece, live-action episodic docs. And all of that was done with Unity, which is really fun. And you can see that on YouTube or in Daydream. And I think some of it's being demoed here by our colleague Jason. And then there's this.
So we mentioned out of home. What does it mean to entertain people out of home? Well, Bit Circus's next big adventure is building a micro amusement park. And in this amusement park, which is located in 60,000 square feet of prime real estate somewhere in Los Angeles, we are going to have tons of amazing AR and VR content, but it's going to be mixed with physical engagements. So story rooms like the one I showed you before, midway games, games that you recognize from old school carnivals, but amped up with modern technology like projection and sensors. We're creating these amusement parks where you can come, you can bring your friends. Some of them will be in VR. Some of them will be experiencing the park in augmented reality. Some of them will be throwing basketballs at robotically moving basketball hoops. One of you will be getting a drink served to you by a robot bartender. And we're integrating all these technologies to create an experience unlike you will ever see anywhere else. Next slide.
And
oh, go for it.
There are some other haptic activations. Here's an example of one of those motion platforms. But this is the one you want to see.
This is the one I wanted to talk about. So what do you do when you go out to a place like a micro amusement park or a Dave & Buster's or something? You go for a birthday party, right? Anybody ever had a birthday party at one of these places? You get birthday cake, you play with a piñata. So we took the experience of a piñata, which everybody knows and loves from birthday parties, and we stuck it into VR. HTC just came out with their little trackers, right? They chopped the heads off of those awesome hand controls, and they let us play with the trackers all by themselves. So we took their limited run, fragile engineering samples, and we attached them to blunt force instruments. And we let people swing a bat, which was tracked with an HTC Vive tracker, and hit a piñata, which had an HTC Vive tracker strapped to its ass. And the tactile feedback, you need that. You need to feel that bat hit that piñata, and you can see it. You can see it happen in a little Mexican village with the music playing behind. It's beautiful. With that technology, we took this simple, classic experience, and we transported it. We transported it somewhere else, and it was magic.
Slowly.
Oh, here's another one. With this one, we collaborated with a company called Applied VR and created an experience wherein you can know what it's like to jump off the edge of a building. Now, anybody today can put on a headset and fall from a long distance. Pretty much every broken debug example has resulted in you falling through the bottom of your world. But this is different because when you're falling off the edge of this building, you're falling out of a window washing platform to the pavement below. That window washing platform is a haptic rig that we built. You're standing on it, and you feel it sway. And it doesn't take a lot of sway to make you absolutely terrified. And you're holding on to those handrails for dear life because you don't want to fall out of this window washing platform. And you stand back because you know it's coming. And then the handrails mechanically fall away. You hear them fall away. You know they're gone. And in VR, you see them fall to the pavement far below. And something about adding that little mechanical twist at the end, you should see the looks on the faces. Even though half their faces are covered by a VR blindfold, you know they are scared shitless. And then we ask them to step off, and they can't do it. They can never do it.
What's amazing about my colleagues at 2-Bit is that they've been making games for people in an entertainment setting for themselves for so many years. So it's a natural progression to make it a company and a full-time business. So they really know how to bring the user through the experience, lure them in seductively into the moment, and tripping them up on something like a 50-story building ledge. And the haptics are something that they build very well as well. So does my team. And having that a little extra bit of touch or vibration, mist, fire, heat, all those things really amplify the reality of VR. As much as cinematic VR does it, it does it even more. Some of the other things that we've done in this space, if I can get this to click, we did a piece for Rio for the NBA house, which we had to build a camera for, because a helmet camera that's actually stabilized where you can see the hands and feet of the live-action player, it's a pretty tough order. It's something I asked my team to build for this project, and they succeeded, and you actually feel the kind of intimate space and scale of real players on the court, and you play a full-on game. For some reason, the film on the other one didn't work, but anyway.
I just want to jump in here and say that the experience of being a basketball player is amazing, but watching a 7-foot-tall dude with a motion camera strapped to his head is one of the most entertaining things you can ever witness.
No doubt. And this was put to the floors of the NBA house with a motion floor. There are 10 of them built along lines there, and people had a really good time. So that's pretty much what we wanted to share with you today. We're building really imaginative, fun things that you're not going to see at any other location-based activation scenario, with a lot of very interesting technology and fun.
Thanks so much for listening to us, and we're going to hand the stage over to Ivan from VRstudios.
Hi, everybody. Okay, we got the mic working. I just need slides. There we go. Cool. Hi, everybody. I'm Ivan Blaustein from VRstudios. We make full-motion virtual reality platforms for out-of-home installations. So we install our systems in arcades and theme parks around the world. Don't have too much time today, so I'm going to talk about one installation in particular. This is one we did for Universal Studios in Orlando in October. It's called The Repository. Come on. There we go. So it's collaborative development between NBC Universal, Universal Studios, and then our internal development team actually developed it in Unity. And it was created just for Halloween Horror Nights 26 for the month of October in Orlando. An amazing project. It was a lot of firsts for us, and I have a little trailer that explains a little bit more about it.
This isn't something that we've never done. This is something that nobody has ever done. Halloween Horror Nights has always been about pushing the envelope. It is creating new experiences that nobody's seen anyplace else. What makes the repository so cool is this new experience that we're really designing for our guests. Immersive live theater matched with virtual reality put together with puzzle-solving gameplay for a group environment. It draws you into a space. You actually get to touch, handle, and do things together as a group. A result at the end that you have to work together as a team to survive what is the horrors of the repository. It is all about how do we create experiences that nobody's done before. We're excited about delivering this and giving this to our guests and watching them, have something that they can't get anyplace else.
So it was a really awesome project. We were super proud to work on it. It was a great team. So some of the things he mentioned, TJ, great guy at Universal Studios Creative. So it was part of a larger experience that most of our installations, is a standalone kind of VR arcade setup where you walk in, you put on the headset, and you're playing a game. This was part of a 30-minute end-to-end escape the room puzzle multiplayer live actor experience, which was really cool because people were really primed when they got into VR and that there was a lot more to it. It was also, so it was 4 players at once in a big group going through the entire adventure together. With our system, we can have 2 people physically together in the same room, walking around untethered, streaming from a powerful gaming PC tracked by mocap cameras. So amazing back-to-back experience. This was also the first time that we connected multiple pods together. So we actually had 4 players in the experience virtually, and they could all see each other and interact together. We also incorporated a lot of 4D effects, as the Bit Circus guys just mentioned. It really heightens the experience, anything you can add. So we had a subwoofer in the space that vibrated the floor when the lightning struck. We had heat fans when the room burned around you. And we had, my personal favorite was, at one point you get swarmed by crows, and a live actor would come with a feather duster. And it sounds silly. It was fantastic. It really adds a lot. It's anything you can do. It really heightens the immersion. So some of the big benefits of an out-of-home installation versus an at-home VR experience, and specifically for this one. For this, a prepared audience makes a huge difference. That having people that are already immersed in this world, that they're already part of the repository, they've gone through, they've been talking to live actors, they're trying to solve the puzzles of the experience. They put on the VR headset as just part of it. It wasn't, a standalone thing. So when they put on the headset, it's someone in a hazmat suit that's putting on your view into the paranormal realm. So even before you put on the headset, you're kind of part of the experience, and that was a big benefit. The controlled environment, compared to a demo in someone's living room, that we controlled the hardware, the software, we designed the experience to the hardware spec. Because we knew the entire installation, we really controlled it all and made sure that everyone had a great experience. So in having custom rooms, props, and those 4D effects, most of our installations we try to make just kind of cookie cutter so we can have many different experiences in the same installation. So you can play 5 different games when you walk up to a Dave & Buster's, and you're just in there playing, so it's an empty ground. Because this was Universal Studios and they wanted to have it really custom and we only ran that one experience piece, being able to do custom room that you walk up and touch the wall and it matches exactly where the wall was in the real world adds a lot, and it was a really cool thing. So a couple pictures of the custom-built rooms, because it was really cool to see. Universal does an amazing job that it was an empty soundstage in September. And by October, it was this incredible built, from wood, from the just amazing effects they did, lighting, all the 4D effects they integrated, and when you reach out and touch stuff, it added a ton. So just seeing the construction progression in just a couple weeks was incredible. But with being out of home, there are also a couple of challenges of this. Trying to keep it simple, that for most people haven't experienced VR. They don't know what it is. They can't, you can't hand them a Vive controller and expect them to be able to use it quickly. And we don't have time for complex controls or big tutorials. That you have to get it immediately. It has to be obvious. Everyone has to have a great experience. And that's a huge design constraint of VR out of home. That is just a for now challenge in my mind, but I think we will get past that as kind of the controllers get more intuitive and people get more understanding of what you can do in VR and what to do in VR. But for now, you really have to design, if it's not obvious, people aren't going to get it. So it had to be really obvious. And the other one for us was no downtime at all. That most arcades, if the system goes down for 2 minutes because of some hardware failure, no problem, everyone else is waiting 2 minutes. For this installation, they were scheduled. So it was 7:30, 7:45, 8 o'clock, whatever the timelines were, and we couldn't miss them. So we learned a lot in terms of backups, spares, just being really prepared so that there was no downtime between groups. That was a big challenge. That's about it for me. If you want to learn more, I did a presentation at the Vision Summit last year called Virtual Reality Arcades Today and Tomorrow with one of the co-founders of the VRcade, Jamie Kelly. Highly recommend it. Check it out. It was a full half hour just about what we do for all of our arcade installations and more about the kind of benefits and challenges of VR gaming design. And we also have an installation just launched last month at Knott's Berry Farms right down the road in Buena Park, where we have 8 of our virtuality systems, 2 players in each, connected together and made custom content for Knott's for that as well, but I can't talk too much because it was made in Unreal. And that's it for me. And next up, we got David from VRstudios. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Alvin.
Yeah.
All right. So it is Saturday morning, and you meet up with your friends or family, and you're headed over to a theme park. It's going to be a great day. You drive to the park, and you wait in line and pay $20 for parking. And you wait in line again for your tickets. They're about $100 a person, 100 a pop. And you finally get in the park. And you wait again now for 45 minutes for the experience, or for the chance to experience the very latest virtual reality attraction. And you finally say to yourself, damn, this better be good. So how do we create experiences that are worth the time and effort? How do we produce a virtual reality experience that is unique enough and different enough than the one that you can get at home? I'm the co-founder of VRstudios, and we've been asked to tackle these questions by some of our clients, and we're working on various design and engineering projects for some of the leading theme parks in the world. And allow me to make a bold claim. Some of the most immersive stories ever told will be told in this kind of virtual reality setting. A lot of our work is under NDA, but let me share some of the lessons that we've learned working with the theme parks, and hopefully do so without getting sued. Lesson number 1, experiences must be social. And that sounds pretty obvious, right? But it may be a little bit trickier than you think. I mean, virtual reality, until just very recently, has been inherently personal. You're required to wear a piece of gear over your head, after all. I mean, could you socialize with a bag over your head at a party? I think you'd have a pretty rough time if that were the case. But people go to these venues with friends and family, and half of the fun is sharing these experiences together. So, for example, when you ride a roller coaster, what is the very first thing that you do, perhaps after you scream a little bit like a little girl? You look at the person sitting right next to you for their reaction, and that's part of the fun. And this is why it's important in this sort of setting to create very robust avatars. So what we've learned with our findings is that full-body avatars with advanced inverse kinematics, depending on the type of sensors that you're using, with full hand motion control, work pretty well. And having the ability to recognize others within this environment is super important. One of the things that we've had to develop, for example, is automatic height detection. So as soon as the guest puts on the headset, it will automatically detect their height, and then we will auto-scale the rig of the avatar accordingly so that the other person or the other people around you recognize you a little bit easier in the environment. The second lesson that we've learned developing these is to create an experience and not a game. And of course, this is tempting for those of us who work with a game engine, after all. And of course, you can have game-like mechanics, but many of the same rules simply do not apply, and this is where we have to be extremely careful. For example, have you heard of the saying, easy to learn, hard to master? This is known as Nolan's Law for game design. Even some studios have it as their motto. Well, it simply does not apply in this case, and here's why. These experiences are very short, 4 to 5 minutes long in many cases. So there's no time for you to master mechanics and go through tutorials and learn how to play your game mechanics. So the game has to be incredibly intuitive to that user, and they need to know how to play immediately. So one of the things that we've found to accomplish this is to create custom peripherals that simply match the experience. So let's just say we're developing a theme attraction with a hatchet. Well, hand over the guest a hatchet. All of a sudden, you don't have to explain how to operate your game. It is completely intuitive to the user on how to operate immediately. The third lesson that we've learned, and quite frankly, the most important of them all, and some of the guys here on stage have touched on this, is to leverage all senses. The whole point of virtualizing reality is to trick the mind into thinking that it's somewhere else, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious. Yet, headsets by themselves only tackle about 45% of your senses. Granted, the most important ones, but still a percentage of your overall senses. So what we're trying to do with location-based is to augment that experience with other peripherals and other pieces of hardware that are connected to the game engine and the headset to tap into your sense of touch, smell, and even your taste. And some of this integration is actually old in the world of themed entertainment. In addition to your traditional senses, we also tackle into sensory modalities. This includes temperature changes, throwing off the guest off balance with motion tracking or motion platforms, vibration or haptics, and even pain. Or maybe not pain, that could go really, really sour very quickly, but just a little bit of pressure, right? These tools, when you think about it in these terms, all of a sudden you realize that you have many more tools at your disposal as a content creator and as a producer that you can use, and they're not practical for home use, but they are very practical in this sort of setting. Imagine seeing an explosion in VR and feeling the heat, feeling the floor shake underneath you, maybe even smelling the particle dust. Wouldn't that be worth the price of admission? Wouldn't that be worth the effort? I think that us as content producers, some of us here and technologists, that roadmap and that playbook is still being written in front of us. So we need to think big. And the future of home entertainment, or out-of-home entertainment, is bigger than ever. The most immersive stories ever told are yet to come. Thank you. With that, I would like to invite my colleagues.
Where the 2-bit guys go?
2-bit. If you guys have any questions?
Oh, they're there. Okay.
There they go.
So yeah, feel
Good
free.
deal.
There are a couple microphones, and you can ask them to any of us.
Yep.
Yeah, for 2-bit or anybody else, what's the monetization of the VR menus? Is it like Disneyland, you pay once they get it, leave everything for free, or do you pay like $5 or $10 per experience?
So the nice thing about our strategy is we can change that depending on time of day. Get people in the door, sell them food, sell them beverages, sell them tickets to do certain experiences, or do it the way Disneyland does it and charge them on the way in. We have both of those at our disposal.
Yeah, we're finding that a lot of theme parks are actually using the VR experience as a premium. Sometimes, for example, with I don't want to, but in his case study with HHN, I'm sure you could expand on that. But they had a premium cost for that, and others just included as part of the ticket. And of course, for them, it makes sense if you think about it, because we're exchanging perhaps a large roller coaster, which requires a lot of space, with something that will require a much smaller footprint. So therefore, it is very attractive for theme parks to go this route.
Yeah, and for us, it's whatever the theme park wants. That we, give them the all-in-one system, and they kind of figure out how they want to monetize for it. But generally, it's an upcharge.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are some microphones in the center of the room, if you'd be kind enough to go there so everyone can hear your question.
Yeah, we have about 3 minutes, so please don't be shy.
Good over there.
So thank you for the presentation. I have questions. So how do you guys deal with throughput and sanitizations? What are the challenges and what are the solutions?
I'm sorry, did you say throughput?
Throughput.
Throughput and sanitization.
Oh, sure. And by the way, those are some of the largest concerns that a lot of major theme attractions have.
Absolutely.
Definitely keeping headsets clean. And there's different headset attachments that you can get that basically wipe the front, the detachables, to kind of keep the headsets clean. There's operators that are keeping different headsets under rotation, so you'll have one set, and then for the next batch of guests, they'll switch them around. So there's different techniques being employed, and at the end of the day, some of the throughput is calculated by the money folks, so they'll figure out how many people per day they need to go through, and a lot of the decision making of the length of the duration of the experience is driven by throughput.
Yeah, totally agree. And for us, we make our head mount ourselves, and so we design from the ground up to be hygienic. So it's closed foam in the front, can be wiped off with alcohol between each user. Really, anything that touches a user can be wiped down with alcohol. And the face, which is the most important part, because that can get gross, is just Velcroed in, so you could swap that out each day. But yeah, that's very important questions.
This is a question more for 2-Bit Circus. You guys are entering into a business model that is completely different than just development of content. You're getting into physical space. So what does the economics of that look like for you? And what has your experience been creating a physical space that has also incorporated the things that you've done in the past?
So we have some experience in this area. For several years, we ran an event called the Steam Carnival. And the Steam Carnival was a crazy collection of technology that we packed into trucks and brought from place to place, set up, and charged people to experience. So we've sort of been through the pain and the
Hazing.
the hazing, yeah, exactly right, of creating physical spaces, charging people to come in there, and making sure the stuff is still running. We think that the fact that we have our own content engine that can drive our parks it just gives us a tremendous advantage. We're building the content, and we control how people experience it.
Our reputation came out of, in the VR space, out of doing these activations for hire. And we got a lot of education from doing those. And to the points made about how to deal with throughput, the content and how we design it is always based on runtime, very precisely. Like the first NFL piece we did was 1 minute 38 seconds exactly, and on purpose before we shot it, because we knew we had to put that many people through it for a week's time. And we built 4 motion platforms to deal with the math of that as well, and make sure that it was rotating very quickly. But you'll see a lot of content creators, when they're thinking about branch narrative, how to use the space well. In the same way that you go out to produce something, you capture actors doing things at different times where they're doubling up in another room as you're going through, and that's a kind of a philosophy of using the space well and using your time well that comes together with the tech for us.
The red light just came on. That red light means we're done.
Can we do one more question?
Maybe one more, yeah.
A quick question about audio. In your experience, do you use virtualized audio or the sort of shared loudspeakers in order to promote that being together with other people?
I think it depends on the installation. We certainly capture live 6-channel wherever we can, and then we do a method of Foley in what we're creating, but we also add to it in the physical space.
Yeah, all depends.
The big problem for us of doing speakers is we don't know the environment that we'll be installed in. So for example, one of our first installations was Dave & Buster's in San Jose, and they had a DJ right next to our booth, that went on at 9 to midnight. And if you had speakers, you wouldn't have heard our experience. So we have noise-canceling headphones just to make sure, no matter where the experience is installed, you have great audio from the experience.
Great, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, y'all.
We're good. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.